You are now experiencing the digital life with Kevin Lockett.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Digital Life. Back when I was in college, I had a really good friend named Monica Patton who studied dance. And on occasion, we would discuss our dreams. I was going to be the president of Motown Records, and she would be dancing on Broadway. Well, I didn't quite make it to Motown, but Monica not only made it to Broadway, but she also danced and acted around the world. And I'm so proud of her. I always had a strong admiration for dancers like my friend Monica. Dancers work really hard. The discipline, the focus, the sheer athleticism that's involved with dancing, it's something that most people can't even comprehend. Dancers to me have always been the most underrated athletes in the world. Well, on today's show, I had the opportunity to talk to one of the premier dancers of our time, renowned ballerina Misty Copeland for the American Ballet Theater. In a few weeks, Misty will be performing at the Ballet in Cleveland. I had the opportunity to talk to her about her life as a dancer, why the arts are so important, how she feels about the success of her autobiography, and on the tech side, how she uses Uber to get around in different cities. Misty was truly a gentle soul with a deep love for the arts, and I'm sure you will hear her passion throughout our conversation. So without further ado, here's my conversation with the very engaging Misty Copeland. Okay, we're talking to Misty Copeland. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am fine. You know, when I was in third grade, my mom signed a permission slip for a performance. Mm-hmm. And I went to a performance, and it was a dance performance, and that's the first time I saw dances before. And it was colorful, and people were moving around, and from that point on, I always had a great love for the arts, and dances as well, because the athleticism and everything that they do. And that performance was the Nutcracker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you recently danced in the Nutcracker, so in some ways, I feel like I've been building up for this interview since third grade.
Cool.
So what was the first performance that you saw where you realized that you really wanted to be a dancer?
I'd never seen classical ballet before that decision was made, just because of the way I was introduced to ballet. It was fairly late in my childhood for what's typical for a classical dancer. At 13, I was just kind of thrust into ballet classes. And I pretty much knew from the commitment I was giving my dance teacher with the decision to move in with her and really train intensely, I knew already that the purpose was to become a professional. And I had not yet seen a ballet before live. So the very first performance I saw was American Ballet Theater, and they were on tour in California where I lived, and they were performing the ballet Don Quixote. And, I mean, I already knew I wanted to be a professional, but that definitely kind of made it even more clear to me that, wow, being up there on the stage, that's the highlight of it. Not even, I mean, because I enjoyed just being in the ballet studio and taking class, but to see a live performance definitely made it seem more tangible.
So how did that make you feel? Because that performance, that's like one of the first performances you saw, and now you're a soloist with American Ballet Theater. So how did that feel?
It's pretty incredible. You know, it's just from the time I discovered ballet, American Ballet Theater has been my goal. And from that first, acceptance letter into their summer intensive program, it was like, oh my gosh, my life is starting. And then being accepted into the Corps de Ballet and then being promoted to soloist, it's very surreal. And I realize, the older I get, with the more experience that I have, just how rare it is, no matter what color you are, no matter what your background is, but to make it to this point as a professional with an elite ballet company, it's such a small percentage of people that make it here. So I'm extremely grateful and honored. So,
like you said, you started ballet at 13, which is, for some people, it's like, oh, that's kind of young, but really that's kind of old. But how important is the arts to kids? Because I see arts programs being taken away, and slowly it's like they're coming back. But, if you didn't come across that, who knows where you would be now? So how important are the arts when it comes to kids?
I think that I'm a perfect example of someone who, I was a typical kid, and I was one of 6 children in a single-parent household. And, I was really hard on myself just by nature. And so I did well in school, but I didn't ever feel like I was thriving in my school environment and atmosphere. Like, that wasn't the way that we learn in schools, especially in public schools. I couldn't really relate to. Like, my brain didn't process things in a full way until I discovered an art form. And I think that to give children an opportunity to use every part of their brain and their bodies and their imaginations and their emotions, it allows them to grow in a way that I don't think you can from just sitting in a classroom and reading and having someone speak to you or speak at you. My experience is just that I don't think that I would have developed into the person that I am without an art form. And so that's why I think it's so critical and vital for every child to have that opportunity. I think it's just as important as being in school.
So when kids see you, what do they say to you, especially kids who come from different backgrounds or a background like yours? I mean, when they meet you, what type of things do they say?
I think, they always want to touch me or hug me, which I think is amazing. I think that it gives them hope that they are not limited to, whatever it is that they're being told or being shown or what they see on TV or what they see on the stage. I think that it gives them hope that you don't have to fit this perfect cookie cutter mold or image of what a ballerina should be or whatever it is they want to become, that with hard work and with the right approach and having the right guidance from mentors, that anything's possible.
And you do a whole lot. I mean, you dance with the American Ballet Theater, and you're still promoting your book, and you have so many events. I'm curious with this. How do you squeeze in your practice time? Because dancing is your life.
Everything else is squeezed in around my career. There's no altering or changing, because the reason I have these opportunities outside of my career is because I'm a ballet dancer. And I'm far from done, and I would never let anything kind of get in the way or distract me. So all of the things I do are in my free time or the time when I'm not in rehearsal. So nothing, I'm not sacrificing my rehearsal. I mean, I couldn't. I'm with a company, and I've signed a contract, and I have to be in a certain amount of rehearsals per week and year. So my career is not at all being sacrificed in any way.
Right.
Somehow I find the time on my days off or the hours off after work hours, or if we have, a layoff period where we may have up to 2 months off, or we have a week off here and there, that's when I get to do all of the other things.
So luckily for people in Ohio, on one of your off days, you will be at the Ballet in Cleveland for an event. Yes.
I'm super, super excited. It's kind of been a long time coming that we've been trying to set it up, and it works out during one of my off weeks. And I'll get to perform, we haven't completely confirmed the repertoire that I will be dancing, but I believe it will be third act Coppelia, which is a very classical ballet that I premiered for the first time, I guess it was a year ago now, and I'll be dancing with the former ABT soloist Carlos Lopez, who now teaches at American Ballet Theater School. And my little brother Cameron will be accompanying me on this trip, and he will also be performing. He will be singing. He is a singer, a writer. He plays piano. He is not a dancer, though.
Oh, do people think he's a dancer when?
No. But it's just I'm the only dancer, in my family. Like, I was the only one that was exposed to ballet. My mother was when she was growing up, but I guess the only other real artistic person in my family is my youngest brother Cameron, who was a prodigy on the piano, I think, at the age of 5, and just continued to blossom. So it's exciting to see him an adult, and this will be my first time seeing him perform live.
Yeah, so, he'll be performing on his own, and you'll be performing.
Yes.
Was there ever a case that you two ever worked together on a piece?
We never have, but that would be incredible to do something in the future. Who knows? I think that he has just so much potential, and he acts as well. So it's exciting to have another artist in the family, and maybe one day we'll collaborate.
Yeah. And then the following day, you also will have a master's class for kids, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that Carlos Lopez will be teaching a master class to some of the kids. I think I will be getting to speak to them and sign some books. But it's always nice to be able to reach out to different communities. You know, when we get to do, as professionals, you get to go and do these smaller gigs and just kind of remember what it was like and grow in a different way. You know, you're growing every time you go on the stage and perform, but it's nice to be a part of a community with a ballet school and for them to see what's possible and what a professional looks like.
And when you do so much traveling, you're very active on social media, on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
So when you're traveling, what type of apps and gadgets do you use?
Oh man, I'm not that savvy. But yeah, I'm pretty big on Twitter and Instagram, and when I'm at home, I actually probably use my apps more. I use Seamless Web a lot, and I use Uber. But yeah, my social media, I'm pretty good on Twitter and on Instagram.
Ah, so you're an Uber user, huh?
I'm a huge Uber user, especially when you go to different cities and you don't know where you're going, and you can just type in an address and they appear, and then they drop you off somewhere. So it's ideal for me.
But one of the things you are really good at is being a judge, because one of my favorite shows is So You Think You Can Dance. And you were on there. It's like, oh, okay, Misty's on there. It's like, but then you were on there a bunch of times. Like, man, this is really cool. So what is that like? Because you're still an active dancer, still an active performer, but now you're actually giving advice to people who are moving up the way you were at one point.
It's an interesting position to be in, and I think from the dancer's perspective, they really appreciated having someone who's pretty, who's in their shoes or who's been in their shoes more recent than maybe some of the other judges, who are on the show. So I think that it was great for them to hear from someone who really knows what it's like to be in their shoes. And I think it was also interesting for the audience. The So You Think You Can Dance audience has really grown with the show, and I think that a lot of their audience members weren't necessarily dance followers. So they've really built and grown an appreciation for dance over the 11 seasons. So when they brought me in, I think that they felt it was time to kind of introduce ballet to this dance audience and really to show them, where dance stems from, which is the ballet technique, and kind of really using the real terminology. But I think for the So You Think You Can Dance audience, a lot of them were kind of like, whoa, like, who is this girl? And, I don't think they understand that what goes on in an actual studio is real criticism. Like, we're not, are the people that are in the front of the room are there to make us better. And so that's what I was trying to give them, like real advice that's going to help their technique or help their performance. And I think a lot of the audience members aren't used to seeing that from the judges. So I got a mix I don't know, kind of combination of what people thought of my appearance, but I had an incredible time, and I think that when you get an opportunity to be on the outside and watching dance, you learn a lot about yourself as well by giving them feedback, and you think, well, I should apply that to myself as well.
Which dancers inspire you, or which dancers should people look out for in the new year?
Oh, I'm just so fortunate to be in a company that's so diverse in terms of the way the dancers move at ABT, and I have to remind myself, like, look around you, look who you get to dance next to and be inspired by. So there are dancers in the company that I get to watch them, they're right here, they're close enough for me to touch, and they're incredible artists. But some up-and-coming dancers, I would say Calvin Royale, who is an African-American male dancer here at American Ballet Theater. He's in the Corps de Ballet, and he is just stunning. In all my years now as a professional, I've never seen a dancer like him come through ABT. I'd also have to say Michaela DePrince, who is an inspiration to me. Just her, I don't know if you know who she is, but she has an incredible story. She has a book out as well, Taking Flight, and she's an incredible person and dancer, and definitely someone who's going to be remembered, I think, in the ballet world.
And going back to your book for a minute, your autobiography has been optioned for a movie. So how does that feel to see your life story become a film?
It's very surreal. The script hasn't even been written yet, so it is not, like, it's not really happening right now. So I think once things start happening, it will kind of be like, okay, this is really going to happen. But right now it seems so far out there and just like, this is not my life. Like, I'm just a normal girl, and I get up and take ballet class every morning and rehearse 8 hours a day. So it just seems a little bit crazy. And I think in general, with all of the incredible opportunities that come my way, it takes me a while to realize that they're happening. I kind of look back on them and say, oh my God, that happened. Like, I still can't believe I have a book out and people know all of these intimate things about me.
Did you have any apprehension when you first wrote the book?
No, I mean, I think that when it comes to my art form and bringing it out to a world that's outside of the dance world, I was just really, I wanted complete control over it. I didn't want it to come off the wrong way. I wanted to really represent ballet, in the right way. So I think that it was hard for me to kind of let go of some of that controlling side of me, where it's like, this book has to kind of appeal to everyone, so it can't be so intense on the ballet side. But overall, I think that when you're just sitting in your house and you're writing, or you're working with your co-writer, it's very intimate, and so it was very real once the book actually came out. That's when I was like, oh, wow, I said that, and I'm sharing this very intimate part of my life.
So when Misty Copeland isn't dancing or practicing and just sitting around for maybe a day, what do you do to relax or have fun?
I love to go to concerts. I love cooking, and I love traveling to warm places where I can just chill out on a beach.
That sounds very nice.
Yeah.
What was the last country you attended?
I was just in Mexico over the Christmas break. I will be in Greece this summer after my long spring season at the Metropolitan Opera House. So I'm really looking forward to that. I need to have those things to kind of look forward to when my schedule is so jam-packed.
Well, Misty Copeland, thank you for the conversation. If people need to learn more about you and the things that you do, where can they go?
They can go to mistycopeland.com. They can check me out on social media, on Twitter at MistyOnPoint, as well as on Instagram. And abt.org, you can get my performance schedule with American Ballet Theater.
Did you mention that your mom was a dancer?
She did. She trained in every form as a child, and she cheered professionally for the Kansas City Chiefs. She was like really young when she did it. I think she was one of the youngest to ever become a professional cheerleader. I think she was like 16. Yeah.
Wow. And finally, I wasn't going to ask you this question, but I know my friends would kill me. A few years ago, you danced and worked with Prince.
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, what was that experience like when you first got the call saying Prince wanted to work with you? How did that feel?
It was strange, he wasn't someone that was on my radar at all. It was flattering just to have an artist of his caliber and someone that's, he's a true artist. He cares about what he does, and I think he also cares about other artists and kind of mentoring them. So it was an incredible opportunity and big growing period for me in terms of just kind of honing my artistry and individuality that you don't really get in a major ballet company when there's 80 dancers. He just gave me this confidence that I don't know if I would have gotten if I didn't work with him. So it was an incredible opportunity that I can tell my kids about when I have them.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to have a lot of kids or like one kid? Or?
I have no idea. I used to say I wanted a big family since I came from one. I definitely want kids. I don't know how many.
Oh, and finally, what pushes you? I mean, you've accomplished so much, but what pushes you to be great?
My love of dance and what I do, and just really caring about representing ballet in the best way possible, representing myself. We look in the mirror at ourselves every single day for like 8 hours a day. So there's always something to work on, and just striving for perfection and knowing you're never going to get there.
All right. Well, that's a good way to end the interview. Thanks a lot, Misty.
Thank you so much. Bye.
I want to thank Misty Copeland for being a great guest on The Digital Life. You can learn more about Misty's appearance at the Cleveland Ballet Gala at balletincleveland.org. That's balletincleveland.org, which is truly a great organization. And be sure to follow Misty at mistycopeland.com and follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Misty on Point with an E. That's Misty on Point with an E. Also, if you're not doing anything in summertime, be sure to check out So You Think You Can Dance on Fox because it's my favorite summer show. Before I go, I have an Instagram question for you. Tag me at Kevin Lockett or use the hashtag KLDance with a picture of your favorite dancer of all time. It could be Misty Copeland. It could be Sammy Davis. It could be Michael Jackson. It could be the Nicholas brothers. It could be Baryshnikov. It could be me if you saw me dancing in the club back in the day. Whatever you do, tag me at Kevin Lockett and use the hashtag KLDance with a picture of your favorite all-time dancer. All right, everybody. It's The Digital Life. I'm Kevin Lockett, and I'm out.
The Digital Life with Kevin Lockett.